guys, hi, good evening. It's Friday night, it's pizza night in our house. I'm full disclosure here, I look terrible. We are going on, what day is this? Like day 8? No, 7. Day 7 of being snowed in here in Texas. We have it really good though because we have not lost power and have not lost water. So I really am not complaining. Just being snowed in with 5 kids will explain the look. So we are gonna do cauliflower pizza tonight. I'm gonna do something a little different. We're gonna do barbecue chicken, kind of flat cauliflower pizza flatbread. So we're gonna put some jalapenos, some cilantro, some sharp cheddar cheese, some barbecue sauce. It's gonna be delicious. But the first step is going to be to make the crust. I've showed you this on my channel before, but it is my 100% favorite lean and green meal is cauliflower pizza crust, topped with whatever goodness we have. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. So I have a bag of riced cauliflower here. This one's just from Aldi. It's got 20 calories per 3/4 cup, and we're gonna use this whole bag. We're gonna squeeze a lot of the water out. So it'll be 80 calories for the crust. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut this bag open, and I'm gonna dump this onto a kitchen towel. This towel is stained, but I promise it's clean. It will not work to make this crust if you do not squeeze out the water. So this is a really, really important step. You've got to squeeze out the water, and you'll see, like, look how big of a pile that is, and then you'll see what it's reduced to by the time we squeeze out all the water. And you gotta be careful not to burn yourself because it has been in the microwave, so it is warm. But you just kind of squeeze it out, wring it really. And you wanna get it as dry as possible to be able to form this pizza crust. All right, so I've got it pretty wrung out. And now you'll see when I open it, it's reduced in volume by quite a bit. This is gonna make 1 cup of cauliflower. And I know this because I've made this a lot before, so that's why I'm just gonna trust that it's a cup. Oop. So I'm gonna dump this into a bowl. Don't mind my kids in the background. They've been snowed in with us, obviously, so they're kind of going stir crazy. So once you have it in your bowl, you're just gonna break it up a little bit, and you're gonna add a couple things to make this work as pizza crust, okay? So the first thing that you're going to add is 2 egg whites. You do not want the yolk, so you need to separate it out. I just use my hands. I'm sure there's a more professional way to do it, but that's not how I do it. So 2 egg whites, which you don't have to count this on plan, because as long as you're using less than 8 tablespoons a day of egg whites or egg beaters, you don't have to count it or anything. So I've got my 2 egg whites, and then I measured out 1 ounce, which is about 1/3 cup, but I measured out 1 ounce of low moisture part skim mozzarella cheese. So I'm gonna throw that in there as well. Okay, now I'm gonna grab a spatula. Actually, I'll probably just grab a spoon. This will be easier. I'm gonna grab a spoon and I'm just gonna stir this together. And you're gonna look at this and be like, how is this actually gonna make a crust? But it does. It's just kind of magical how it works out. Now, the key thing when you're making cauliflower pizza crust is you have to have parchment paper. If you don't, it will not work. So do not do this without parchment paper. You also need to spray your parchment paper with some olive oil spray, which I've already done. And just as a word to the wise, you got to get this mixed up and get your egg whites all the way through. The melted cheese is what's going to help hold it together, but do not use wax paper. It does not work. Okay, so once you have it all together, this is what it's going to look like. You're just going to dump it right on your parchment paper sprayed cookie sheet. And I do like to make mine into a circle. And you got to kind of get your hands dirty for this. So you're just going to form it into a circle, and it's kind of an art. It took me a little while to get this perfected. You don't want it too thick because it won't cook, but you don't want it too thin because it falls apart. So I would say with that 1 cup of cauliflower, it generally stretches into like maybe a 10-inch wide crust, I would say, about. But you kind of just got to do it to feel. I like it to be, I don't even know, it's probably like 1/4 of an inch thick, maybe a little less. But this is gonna bake into this perfectly crispy, pick-upable crust. So I'm just gonna get it all spread out. You wanna try to keep your edges smooth so that no little bits kind of become disconnected and fall off. So I just use my finger around the edges. Now the other trick that I like to do, which I'm out of paper towels, so we're gonna have to be a little creative, is I do like to pat this dry a little bit because obviously you added the egg whites. And so I do like to pat it dry just a little bit. I think this looks pretty good. This is about the thickness you're going for. So I would say that's about a 10-inch in diameter pizza crust. Okay, so that's what we're gonna look for. And I'm gonna pat this dry with some napkins, and I'm gonna put it in the oven for 15 minutes at 375. So 15 minutes at 375, I'm gonna take it out. I'm gonna flip it using another piece of parchment paper that's sprayed, and then I'm gonna cook it for another 5 minutes on the other side, and then I'm gonna top it after that, and I'll show you what it turns out to look like. We good? All right, guys, so what I have here is I've got my crusts that are done cooking. I spread 1/4 cup of Rayo's marinara sauce on it, which counts as one of your greens. So on my pan right now, I have 2 greens for my cup of cauliflower and 1 green for my 1/4 cup of Rayo's. So this is a complete green right here. The egg whites in this crust did not count as anything. And then the mozzarella cheese, I did 1 ounce. So total, this pizza is gonna have 2 ounces of cheese, which is half of your lean. And then we're gonna do 3 ounces of chicken, shredded chicken, which is the other half of your lean. So that's where your lean and green come. And then as I assemble it, I'll explain the condiments. So I have some reduced fat sharp cheddar cheese, and I'm going to put 1 ounce worth on my food scale. So you can tell 1 ounce is a pretty good amount, okay? So I'm gonna spread that all on my crust with my sauce. And that's gonna be 1 ounce per pizza. So we're making one pizza for each of us. We get to eat this whole pizza on plan, which is super delicious, super exciting. You do not feel like you are missing out at all. We have this at least once a week in our house. All right, so I've got my 1 ounce of shredded cheddar, my 1 ounce in my crust, and this cheese, between the 2 of those, will count as 1/2 of my lean. It's amazing how much you can actually get for your ounce. Okay, so now, next step is we're gonna do 3 ounces of chicken. So here's my chicken, I shredded it. I just did this in the Instapot with a cup of chicken stock, and then I put in just a little bit of chipotle seasoning. So I'm gonna measure 3 ounces per pizza, but you can get a lot of chicken for 3 ounces. All right, so this is exactly 3 ounces, it's still hot. So I'm gonna spread this all over my pizza, just evenly spread it out. And the chicken just bulks this up. Sometimes Brenton likes turkey pepperoni, but you just get so much chicken for 3 ounces shredded, it just fills you right up, and so it's a really good hearty meal to have. All right, so I'm gonna do 3 ounces on mine. And you definitely wanna use your food scale, especially when it comes to the meat, because you wanna make sure you're getting enough protein. And remember, this is 3 ounces of cooked chicken. So we put 2 big chicken breasts in, and we have just a tiny little bit left. So this was plenty of meat on here. Okay, so that's my lean and my green on the thing. And now we're gonna top it with some condiments. Okay, so here's what we have. We're gonna do some jalapenos, which I just kind of count. I usually count my veggies for topping my pizza as just kind of a freebie. I don't usually count these against anything. That's just my personal preference. We just put a few little veggies on top of our pizza. So I'm gonna put more jalapenos on Brenton than I'm doing on mine. You need to remind me not to touch my eyes later. And then I'm also gonna put cilantro. That's just a really good barbecue flavor thing to add on here. You don't want cilantro on yours. Okay, perfect. More the merrier for me. So I'm gonna sprinkle some cilantro. The flavor is so good for cilantro. I don't know why Brenton doesn't like it.
I just don't like it getting stuck in my teeth.
He doesn't like it, but I'm definitely gonna do cilantro on mine. Now, here's how we turn this into a barbecue pizza. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I have this salt-free dash seasoning. It has 1 gram of carbs and 0 calories, 0 sugar. I'm just gonna do a sprinkling. So it's gonna be even less than a 1/4 teaspoon. So I'm gonna do a sprinkling to amp up the barbecue flavor, okay? Now the other thing I have is I have some G. Hughes barbecue sauce, okay? It looks like this. We got the original. They have all kinds of flavors. You can find it just at Walmart. This is sugar-free, 10 calories per 2 tablespoons, but on plan, 1 tablespoon counts as 1 condiment, okay? So what I'm going to do is I did 2 tablespoons in my little 1/4 cup measuring cup, and then I added 2 tablespoons of water because it is kind of thick and I wanted to thin it out a little bit so it would be easily pourable. So this little 1/4 cup measuring cup has 2 tablespoons, 1 for each of us, and it's gonna count as 1 condiment. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna drizzle. This is the barbecue component of our barbecue chicken pizza. I'm gonna drizzle half of it on Brenton's and half of it on mine. So this is gonna make it nice and barbecue-y and delicious. Okay, so that counts as 1 condiment. And then I'm gonna do another condiment I'm gonna do on top. Since all our cheese is on the bottom, I can do a tablespoon of Parmesan and a tablespoon of fat-free cheddar, and that'll count as 1 condiment together. So all in all, this piece is gonna be 2 condiments plus a little sprinkling of seasoning. But if you've followed my journey, you know that I do not count seasoning as long as it's salt-free and I don't use a lot. So we're gonna sprinkle it with Parmesan cheese, which is gonna get nice and crusty on top. We each get a tablespoon. This is gonna be so good, guys. Are you hungry yet, babe?
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna look delicious. And then just to give it that salty bite and a little creaminess on top, we're gonna also do 1 tablespoon of the reduced fat feta cheese, or fat-free. This is even fat-free feta cheese. And so that's gonna count, like I said, with the Parmesan for a condiment together. So that still leaves you 1 condiment for the rest of your day. All right, so these are gonna go in the oven. I'm gonna crank up the heat to 425 to get the tops browned. And you're just gonna have to eyeball it. I would say 5 to 8 minutes in the oven until your jalapenos get a little cooked and it just melts all your cheese. So we will show you what it looks like when it comes out, and we are not gonna be missing anything tonight. This is gonna be so delicious. All right, guys, here's the finished product. These look delicious. Brenton's gonna have his with the Gatorade Zero. I'm gonna have mine with one of these seltzer waters. We are so excited to eat this barbecue chicken pizza.